Let's get into the news here on the AM show, starting with confusion has rocked the Ghana Freedom Party over its 2024 presidential bid following the death of founder and flag bearer Ikuadonko. Now, the Electoral Commission granted the party 10 days to nominate a new candidate, but internal divisions have led to conflicting submissions. The General Secretary named running mate Philip Apiakubi as the new candidate, while the party's organizer submitted a separate letter stating the party's withdrawal from the race. Well, Joy News has been speaking to the party officials who signed these documents. First, listen to what the General Secretary has been saying.
I'm the General Secretary, George Afo, and I can tell you that we have successfully filed our nomination form at 107 at EC. So you can check from the EC and verify it with our pieces, 4 pieces that GFP have, Tafo Pankrono, Isamama Duajiri, and other 2 constituencies. They were all there. All our 4 pieces were there. So in the picture that is circulating, you can see them.
What about your National Executive Committee members? I'm
the Chief Executive of the party. It is not true.
And this filing also has the blessings of the family of the late Madam Ikuadonko.
Does the EC deal with family or that this deals with the party? The EC has wrote to the party that we have 10 days to replace our late founder and flag bearer.
Okay.
And the party has done exactly that. So if the EC wanted to deal with the family, fine.
We can now listen to the organizer who insists the party is not contesting.
We made the decision that we are not going to contest for this year 2024 because we lost our founder of the party. And we haven't even taken the decision for even the 1 week observation yet. So we have decided with the net and and the family, the flag family, that after we finish, we set up the 1 week before we can make a decision for next year. That is the proposal we have made for the next year contesting of the election of 2028. This year, we are not going to contest. We wasn't aware with the decision we took and the submission of the presidential nominee to the EC.
If you say you weren't aware, who wasn't aware?
The next and the next and I wasn't aware of the decision they made this morning.
Now, the Attorney General and Minister for Justice, Godfred Yeboadame, is moving to arbitration in all contractual disputes involving the state dealt with here in Ghana. Currently, disputes between the state and companies that are being arbitrated are handled outside of Ghana, especially in Western countries. Citing the vulnerability of arbitration to fraud and abuse, Godfred Yeboadame says efforts are underway to amend the Contract Act to make Ghana the seat of all arbitration involving the state. And he was speaking at the first ever public sector lawyers conference in Accra.
Governing arbitration and the institution of civil claims against the state, whilst taking a critical look at contracting and contract management on behalf of the state. Mr. President, as I recently noted at the African Regional Forum at the International Bar Association Conference held in Mexico City, Mexico, we cannot discount the prejudice Ghana and the whole of Africa in general often suffers in international arbitration fora. It is quite curious that in some instances, companies which fail to make out any claim in our domestic courts succeed in extremely huge international arbitration actions, sometimes mounted on the back of contracts which have failed to receive the relevant statutory and constitutional approvals of the countries in which they operate. This phenomenon is not because of a weakness of the judicial systems of African countries, or indeed Ghana's, but simply because of the nature of international arbitration, particularly the secrecy of proceedings, flexibility of rules, and the finality or non-appealability of awards, which I've just referred to. It should not be misconstrued as saying that Ghana or any African nation should shy away from international arbitration. Far from that. However, the vulnerability of arbitration to abuse and fraud highlights the necessity for more robust safeguards in commercial disputes involving state parties, where the hard purse of the nation is at stake. We must boost the integrity of our legal systems by setting up fair and efficient mechanisms for commercial dispute adjudication and strengthening the systems for the conduct of arbitration in our respective countries. But I still recognize that there's a need to make further reform to the pursuit of arbitration against the state. Thus, I recently presented to Cabinet a proposed amendment to the State Property and Contract Act of 1960 to compel all contracts involving the state and its agencies as parties to not only stipulate Ghana law as a governing law, but also to have Ghana as a seat of arbitration, and with the ADR Center in Ghana being the venue for the arbitration.
Well, the Attorney General also says Ghana's economy would have collapsed if some arbitration challenges against the states were successful. Now, according to him, the states would have paid in excess of $9 billion in international arbitral awards, with about 16 trillion Ghana cedis in local actions filed against the state.
There are certain glaring dangers that I think arbitration portends for Ghana and the developing world, which seem to overlook it. Whilst arbitration is started to assure neutrality, privacy, and efficiency in the adjudication of disputes, arbitral claims filed against the government, if not diligently managed, have the tendency to collapse the entire Ghanaian economy. A single arbitral claim, if successful, can bring the economy of a developing country as Ghana to its knees. In point of fact, over the past 4 years, the value of arbitral claims against the Republic has been in excess of $9 billion. And I cite a few to illustrate the point. The financial claim by ENI Vitor against Ghana, which was initially $7 billion and subsequently reduced to $915 million after challenge in the course of proceedings by Ghana. In fact, any of these amounts, $7 billion or $950 million, could have collapsed the Ghanaian economy. By the grace of God, this financial claim was recently dismissed in its entirety by the International Arbitral Tribunal. Cassius Banning's Limited's claim against the government of Ghana has a value of about $300 million. GCNet's arbitral claim involves a claim of over 4 billion Ghana cedis, the equivalent of about $250 million. The recently filed Eland arbitration claim against the government of Ghana also involves a claim of over $320 million. These are just a sample of a few of the international arbitration claims against Ghana. Domestically, there have been claims in Ghana in excess of over 15 trillion Ghana cedis, successfully defended by the Office of Attorney General against the state.
Meanwhile, at the same event, President Akufo-Addo says he is committed to ensuring lawyers in the public sector are well-resourced to deliver their responsibilities.
My government's commitment to the legal sector extends to the development of infrastructure, is evidenced by the construction of 100 courthouses across the country and the development of 121 residential units nationwide for judges, alongside the construction of the magnificent 10-story law house in Accra, which will soon house the Office of the Attorney General. We're also undertaking the historic endeavor of calling some 4,500 lawyers to the bar since October 2021, doubling the legal workforce in our country. Looking ahead, I'm inspired by the Attorney General's vision for a law house in each region, creating dedicated spaces for public legal services across Ghana. This vision of a strong, united legal framework is the legacy we aim to build. Ladies and gentlemen, members of the bar, as public sector lawyers, the path we walk is one that demands courage, commitment, integrity, and a ceaseless pursuit of excellence. This conference is a testimony to the value we place on your contributions and the recognition that without a strong legal backbone, our public service cannot function at its highest potential. Government is committed to supporting your development, ensuring that our legal teams are well prepared to face the challenges of our time.
The Education Minister, Dr. Yaosei Duchum, has announced plans to make senior high schools education compulsory under the Free Senior High School Bill introduced in Parliament. Now, if passed, the bill would require all eligible students to complete senior high school, marking a significant step towards universal access to secondary education. And speaking at the National Tertiary Education Conference held at the University of Ghana, Dr. Yaosei Duchum noted the move is to boost enrollment and bridge educational gaps across the country.
If you look at junior high school transition rate in Ghana today, last year, the just ended academic year, 95% of students in the northern region move on to junior high school to high school. 94% of students in the northeast and Savannah moved on from junior high school to high school. 92% of students in Upper East moved on from junior high school to high school. Upper West, 89%. That is the lowest in the north. 89% of the students who were eligible and who had been offered spaces moved on from junior high school to high school. But the lowest in the north is higher than the rate of any of the regions in the south. There's a growing trend here where there's a widening gap between the north and the south in terms of participation in secondary education. The north, all the regions together, are ahead of the whole country. Voter rating is the lowest, 76%. So nearly 20% difference between the north and voter rating. If this trend continues, the next 20 years we have to do an affirmative action to support the south. Central rating is about 78%. Ashanti and Accra, Greater Accra, 87%. But when you dive deep to the districts within Ashanti, you're going to realize that places like Adansia, Sokwa will give you about 65%. 65% means there's a 30% disparity between the north and that particular district in terms of moving up into secondary education space. So if you heard about the bill in Parliament about the free secondary education bill, the goal is to ensure that we create a free, compulsory, universal secondary education regime in Ghana. It's a very important aspect of the bill. That it will not be something that children who are not 18 have a choice in, saying that I'm not going to secondary school and I'm going to stay at home.
Some basic school pupils in the Central Region have received desks from the Central Regional Coordinating Council as part of efforts to improve the quality of learning. The initiative, according to the Regional Minister, aims to address the shortage of furniture in schools across various metropolitan, municipal and districts in the region. Now, Central Regional Correspondent Erica Sante tells us more in this report.
Move aimed at improving educational facilities across the Central Region, the Central Regional Coordinating Council has handed over the first consignment of school desks to several metropolitan, municipal and districts in the region. The presentation ceremony held at the Cape Coast Technical Institute witnessed the distribution of 4,333 desks to help alleviate the shortage of classroom furniture in the various schools across the region. Speaking at the event, the acting director of the Central Regional Coordinating Council, Blessed Kwame Dake, who presented the furniture on behalf of the regional minister, underscored the importance of investing in education and expressed government's commitment to creating a conducive learning environment for the students.
As part of improving the quality and access of education, it behoves of government to provide the necessary amenities and facilities for our children to enhance their education, enhance their studies, okay? And so this is just timely that the government of Ghana, through Get Fund, will provide this number of facilities for those in KG, kindergarten, to upper primary and then to the GHS, just to provide them an enabling environment to study. Government's responsibility is to provide or construct schools. So when schools are constructed, it is also the responsibility of government to provide the necessary amenities like the school desks, library facilities, the drawing boards, etc., so that there will be holistic education for our children. So it's a good foundation that government is building for our children, for the betterment of our country. But I'm talking about 9 municipal and district assemblies are benefiting from this currently. In total, we have 4,333 desks of different categories. So this is just the first phase of facilities that have come for the Central Regional Coordinating Council to distribute to the assemblies for onward distribution to their schools. We are expecting the second installment to come for us to do that.
The desk, designed to provide comfort and durability, are expected to significantly improve the quality of learning for the pupils. Receiving the desk on behalf of the MMDEs, Honorable Ransford Kwesi Nyako expressed profound gratitude to the Central Regional Coordinating Council for their support. He pledged to ensure that the furniture would properly be maintained.
For us, this depicts His Excellency's commitment to education. I also want to thank the Vice President, His Excellency Dr. Alhaji Mahmoud Bawumia. We know that indeed he is the brain behind most of these initiatives to ensure that our people have the best in terms of education. And we believe that as MMDCs, we will ensure that the beneficial schools will have the best in terms of maintenance, so that these furniture will be there for use for future generations.
Now, let's take you back to the United States of America, where we're monitoring the election. CNN projections show that Republicans have won control of the Senate. Donald Trump has won 2 key battleground states, that is Georgia and North Carolina, as Kamala Harris takes New Mexico. It's too early to call the other battleground states, that is Pennsylvania, Arizona, Michigan, Wisconsin, and Nevada, seen as pivotal to each candidate's path to victory. Trump and Harris each need at least 270 electoral votes to win the presidency. And we'll tell you more. We'll bring you more details later on in the show after our news review and sports segment. That is our big story, so you want to keep watching. And on that note, let's get into our business update now, coming up shortly.
Welcome to business. And now demand from firms in the automobile sectors are currently driving dollar demands. That's according to market reports of some commercial banks. We'll bring you details in this report.
The report showed that the demand is coming from firms that are important to support the operations as well as fuel for power generation, whilst in the automobile space, dealers are bringing in parts for their business as well as those that are trying to get new models for their customers. Meanwhile, the Bank of Ghana has also been increasing the amount of dollars that it supplies to the market as well as clear the backlog of demand. The central bank, through its 7-day auction on Monday, sold about $50 million to the market. However, only $41 million was taken up by the commercial banks. These dollars were sold at a rate between 16 cedis, 30 pesos, and 16 cedis, 37 pesos. Governor of the Bank of Ghana, Dr. Nes Addison, recently assured businesses that there is no need for them to panic in terms of current pressure on the cedi. The governor maintained that it has the required support to stabilize the local currency.
In our second story, energy strategist Dr. Yusuf Suleimana has challenged government to develop the political will and effectively implement the cash waterfall mechanism to address the challenges facing the country's energy sector. His comments follow pressure mounted on government by the country's donor partners to strictly enforce the sharing of revenue collected by the Electricity Company of Ghana to other sector players. Now, speaking to Joy Business, Dr. Suleimana maintained the efficient implementation of the cash waterfall mechanism would solve the woes of the sector.
willpower, the political will. So that's why now they want to use that as a bargaining chip to whip us online. And actually to our best interest. Because see, if let's say an X amount of money is taken, and the money is such that if you take money for a purpose and then you don't use it for that purpose, it will find issues, especially in government coffers. So I think it's in our best interest to let the cash waterfall mechanism work and work efficiently. And if it works, what will happen is that we all know the issues with the ECG with respect to revenue generation, so or mobilization. So if an X amount of revenue is mobilized, however little it is, if the players within the chain are not assured that this is the amount they are getting continuously, I think there's a cost to be worried. And the important thing is that it's about cash flow. It's not about meeting the requirement of the IPPs. That's not the case. It's just to guarantee that we will have an X amount of money coming in, especially if you collect this amount from ECG, this amount that is supposed to come to you will come to you. It's as easy as that, and we need to do that. And I think if we do that, it's going to help a nation a whole lot. And it can also help in solving domestic issues, actually, because some of these IPPs, because they know that some X amount of money has been collected from ECG, and they know they're required to take this amount, and it's not coming to them. That is why sometimes you see them agitating and potentially taking up power from our grid. That affects the poor consumer.
And to cap of business, we bring you our currency market. Thank you for letting me serve you. It's a wrap for business. Back to you, Sweetie Abochi.
Thanks, Ben. And that's how we're wrapping up for the AM News on the AM Show. Let's get ready for our news review segment. Dr. Kwame Asasanti joins us to review the newspapers. We're back in a bit.